All right, here we go. Day three. Day three. How you guys doing? Hey, just a quick reminder. When I assign the homework, remember it's not due at 8:30. That's for other classes. It's normal day. So tomorrow we'll check our homework. Um, however, please don't be lazy. For today's we're going to do a chapter review, but I need you guys to do all the work. It's really easy to just sit there, let the video play, but I really need you to do the work. Remember, it is a video, so you can always pause, rewind, do it at your own speed. All right, here we go. First things up, homework corrections, 9.5, 2 through 24, evens. Here are the answers. Number 2 is negative 59/36. Number 4 is 1, -1. Number 6 is 5, 4. Number 8 is -5, -3. Number 10 is -3, -2. Number 12 is 5, 2. Number 14 is 4, -3. Number 16 is -2, -5. Number 18. Number 18, where is, oh, there it is. 5, 1/3. Number 20, 2/3, -1. 22 is 2, -5. And 24 is 5 and 5/2, or 2.5. All right, go ahead and in the Google form, pause the video, go to the Google Forms. Tell me how many you missed. All right. Remember, if there's any questions on anything, don't hesitate to send me an email. All right, here's what we're doing today. We're going to do a chapter review, and then tomorrow and Friday, we'll jump right into chapter 10. Come back from spring break, we'll do CMAS prep, and then do CMAS, and then move on through the book. All right, today we're going to do a chapter review. Normally, remember I hand out the review, say get started on it, call me if you need any help. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to do all the odds. Well, we are going to do all the odds together. And then for homework, you'll have the evens. Okay, the form is at the bottom of the Google Forms. For some of you, you may want to print it out. For others of you, you may want to have it open in another window and refer to it. Every slide that I do where I want you to do one, I've already got the data written. Obviously, the graphing ones are a little weird, so you probably need some graph paper to get that done. You can do it by hand. You got to be really neat. So Shayla will be great at this, but the rest of us, we probably are horrible at it. All right, here we go. We're just going to review everything we did, and basically all we did was solve system of equations by 3 methods: graphing, substitution, elimination. There was the fourth one, using our graphing calculator. Ben, put your graphing calculator down. Jack, pay attention. Let's not use our graphing. Now, if you want to use it to check your work, absolutely, positively, you can do that. But let's do this all by hand. All right, first one. Now, this is going to be question number 2, so it's going to be a little weird, because the number of the chapter review is number 1, question 1. But on the Google Forms, to answer the question, it's question number 2. So we'll be off by a couple here. All right, so in Google Forms, question number 2 says, what is the solution to the system of equation in box number 1? So we're on box number 1. We're on the form, question number 1. But on Google Forms, we're going to answer it in question number 2. Hopefully that made sense. Actually, it kind of hurt my head. All right, solve by graphing. I got 2 equations. To solve by graphing, both equations must be in the form of y equals mx plus b. Hey, check it out. They are. Nothing to do there. And I'm going to be nice to you. They're all going to be in y equals mx plus b if I want you to graph them. Okay, so I'm just looking at the first equation. The y-intercept is 1. So I put a dot on 1. The slope, well, there's no number attached to x, but there's a negative. So that would be -1 over 1, or its opposite, 1 over -1. You can use either one. All right. So from the y-intercept at 1, I'm going to go down 1 to the right 1. Down 1 to the right 1. Now, my dots aren't perfect. Cut me some slack. If I want to go in the other direction, it would be the other slope. Up 1, left 1. Up 1, left 1. Okay. Now, how many dots should you put? I usually, generally, for the first equation, put about 4 dots if I can, and leave it that way, because I don't know where the intersection will occur. Hopefully, it'll be on one of those 4 dots. Let's see. Second equation, the y-intercept is +3. +3. The slope, well, there's no number there, so it's 1 over 1, or its opposite, -1 over -1. So if I go up 1, right 1, well, I'm never going to intersect that red line, so it must be down 1 over 1. Yeah, it happens right there. Notice I'm not going to do play connect the dots because I'm just looking, the solution is the intersection, and I did do it by graphing. So the final answer is -1, comma 2. -1, comma 2. Make sense? Okay, so for the next one, I want you to make sure this time, for those of you that didn't, pause the video, solve the equation, and then come back for the answer. So here it is. Go ahead and pause the video, find the answer, and then come back and check your work. Okay, let's see how you did. How many people know they got it right? Oh, wow, that many. All right, that's good. All right, let's see. The first one, let's see if you're correct. Let's see. The y-intercept for the first equation is -3. The slope is -5 over 3, or its opposite, 5 over -3. See how I did that? All right, well, I certainly can't go down 5 squares from there, but I can go up 5. So up 5, not up to 5, but up 5 squares, and then left 3. I'd be right there. So it looks like I can only fit 2 dots on the graph. And I'll just tell you, all the ones that I have right here, the solution will be somewhere on the graph that's given. Now remember, we also can have parallel lines. That would be no solutions. And occasionally, you're going to notice if it's in the form of y equals mx plus b. If it was in the form, if I give you 2 of the same equations, infinite solutions. Okay, second equation, the y-intercept is 3. The slope is 1/3, or its opposite, -1 over -3. So let's see. From that blue dot, if I go up 1 and right 3, well, that intersection will never happen. So it must be the other slope. Down 1, left 3, and check it out. There it is. Intersects that dot right there. So the answer is -3, comma 2. Okay. One more. Let's do this one. So go ahead and pause the video, find the answer, put the answer into the Google Forms, and then come back and check your answer. Okay, how'd you do? Yeah, Elizabeth, what's your answer? Okay, let's see if she's right. First equation, y-intercept's -2. The slope is -1 over 2, or 1 over -2, so I'm going to go up 1, left 2. What did I just do? Well, that dot's, the animation's in the wrong spot. All right, never mind. Just the animation is off a little bit there, but I went down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2, or up 1, left 2. Sorry for the animation problem, but that is the line. So one of those 4 dots, hopefully, I could have put another couple dots, but let's just start graphing this second equation and see what happens. All right, the second equation, let's see, the y-intercept is +3. The slope would be 2 over 1, or -2 over -1. Let's see if I messed up the animation this time. So let's see, up 2 over 1. Yeah, the intersection's not going to happen up there. It must be in the other direction. So I'm going to go down 2, left 1. Down 2, left 1. One more time. And you can see in my animation, I promised was not messed up, but it still is. But there's your intersection point at -2, comma, -1. We good for solving by systems by graphing? Yeah, those are kind of fun, especially when they're already in the form of y equals mx plus b. They're pretty simple. Where can you make your mistakes? Just you got to be careful on the slopes. And occasionally some people will graph the y-intercept on the x-axis, or sometimes they will put a negative where a positive is supposed to be, or vice versa. Okay? All right, let's move on to technique number 2. So technique number 2 is solved by substitution. We use this when one of the equations is already solved, but the other one is in standard form. Notice equation number 1 is in standard form. Equation number 2 is in y equals mx plus b form, or slope-intercept form. Okay, so substitution says step 1, solve for one equation, for one variable in one equation. Now notice question number 2, it's already solved. So anywhere I see a y in equation number 1, I can write the value 4x minus 3 for the value y. So I'm going to substitute it into the first equation, into that y. See what I did? And then I'm going to distribute that 3 to the inside. 3 times 4x is 12x. 3 times -3, -9. And then I solve that equation for x. Negative 5x plus 12 is 7x. Add 9, divide by 7. And we get x, we're halfway there, x equals 2. I go back to either the first or second equation. Clearly the second equation is the easier choice. You can choose either one though. I'm going to go back to the second equation. I'm going to throw in for the value x 2. So I rewrite it with x value 2 because that's what we just solved. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 minus 3 is 5. I get the point. Because remember, we're trying to find the intersection point of two lines. So the intersection is 2, 5. We good? Once again, you're supposed to enter that into Google Forms. For the next one, definitely pause the video, get to the answer, unpause the video, check your work. Okay, how'd you do? All right, notice on this one, both equations are in standard form. Now, I taught you in class that both equations are in standard form. Hey, use elimination. But if we were forced to use substitution, then you must choose wisely. Rio, what's the wise choice? That's correct. Equation number 2, solve for x. So if we solve for x in the second equation, in other words, add 6y to both sides, first equation stays the same. But for the second equation, if I added 6y to both sides, I would get that equation. And there we go. Now one of the equations is solved for one of the variables. Okay, so that's what I'm going to substitute into the value x on the first equation. So I rewrite that first equation, substituting 6y plus 10 in for the value x. Distribute the negative to the inside. Here's where you'll make your mistake, and be careful. Negative 2 times 6 is negative 12y. Negative 2 times 10, negative 20. Combine your y's. 12y plus 7y is negative 5y. Isa, what's the next thing we do? Isa, what's the next thing we do? Oh, good job. That's correct. We're going to add 20 to both sides. Add 20 to negative 15, we get a positive 5. Therefore, y value, negative 1. Okay. Yeah, let's, well, which equation do you want to use? I'm going to use the second equation, the x minus 6y equals 10 equation. All right, you could use any one of those 4 equations at the top. They're all the same equation, or they're all algebraically similar. All we did was change the second one, but I'm just going to use the first one. I should say the second one of the first pair of equations. Okay, so we're told the y value is negative 1, so I'm going to substitute that in for the y. Negative 6 times negative 1, positive 6. Subtract 6 from both sides. Well, that one wasn't too bad. Just make sure occasionally when you're solving for y first and then x, you might make that mistake of writing negative 1 comma 4 instead of 4 comma negative 1. That's a simple mistake. Okay, feel confident? All right, let's do another one. Did you already answer it? If not, pause the video, do the problem, come back. Okay, so this is one like we did last night for homework. Notice on none of them, I can't add or subtract on this particular one because nothing would go away. So, correction, I'm losing my mind here. We're doing substitution. Never mind. Ignore that. Let's finish substitution. We'll do elimination next. First equation, let's solve for y. So let's see, subtract 4x from both sides. Subtract 4x from both sides. So on the first equation, if I subtract 4x from both sides, I get that equation. And there's my second equation. I don't need to do anything with the second. So the first equation, solve for y, so that's my substitution. So anywhere I see a y in the second equation, I'm going to write negative 4x plus 20. Okay? So rewrite the second equation. Okay? Except for y, I'm going to write negative 4x plus 20. Distributive property, negative 6 times negative 4x, positive 24x. Negative 6 plus 20, big number, negative 120. Don't panic. Combine your x's, 24x minus 5x, 19x. Add 120 to both sides. And we get something that you would think would be a really ugly number. Just suspect on this particular one, you're not going to get truly ugly numbers. 133 divided by 19 turns out to be 7. Okay? Which equation you want to use? Yeah, we'll use the first one. Okay. Substitute 7 in for x. 4 times 7 is 28. Subtract 28 from both sides. And remember, the answer is the point where both lines intersect. In other words, the point 7 comma negative 8. There we go for substitution. All right. Tonight for homework, you've got all the even ones. If you need any more extra, I mean, I can print out worksheets until your hand bleeds. But if you truly need some extra help, this is a pretty good technique. We're going to use it throughout your math career. All right, on to the last technique, solve by elimination. All right, check this one out. Remember, we're going to use elimination when both equations are in standard form or in similar form. So notice on this particular one, if we simply draw a line and we add, the x's are eliminated. X minus x is 0. So we were left with, and this is the perfect scenario because 5y minus 4y is just y. 25 minus 18 is 7. We're done in one step, at least for half of the answer. They won't always happen that way, but for this particular one, it did. All right, go back to either equation. I'll choose the first one. Okay, substitute y in for, or 7 in for y. 5 times 7, 35. Subtract 35 from both sides. And we get negative 10. So the answer is negative 2 comma 7. All right, next one. All right, make sure you pause the video. Get to the answer. Answer it in Google Forms, and then come back and check your work. All right, how'd you do? Hopefully you remember that this is the one that's called subtraction. So in order to subtract, right, you need to change all of the signs of the second equation. So let's see, that 7x would turn into negative 7x, that 3y would turn into negative 3y, and the negative 16 would turn into positive 16. Because remember, subtraction is the same as adding the opposite. Notice on that second equation, everything is opposite now. Okay, we like to add. All right, so let's add. So we get negative 4x. The y's would be eliminated. 0 plus 16 clearly is 16. Therefore, x is negative 4. I'm going to go back to the first equation because, hey, look at that 0. We like zeros. Substitute negative 4 in for x. 3 times negative 4, negative 12. Add 12 to both sides. Divide by 3. Final answer, negative 4, positive 4. How'd that one go? Good? All right, just a couple more. All right, go ahead and pause the video. Try this one out all by yourself. Did you remember how to do this one? Okay, this is one of those ones where you can't add or subtract first. You got to match either the x's or the y's. Now you have a choice. We can multiply the top one by 2 or the bottom one by negative 4. I'm kind of lazy. I'm just going to multiply the bottom by negative 4. Probably not the best choice. Probably easier to multiply the top one by 2. And if you did that, you trust me, we'll get to the same answer. The real reason I didn't multiply by top one by 2 is because that 17 was right there. Okay, so I'm really lazy here. All right, so let's see. The first equation is the first equation. The second one, we got to multiply everything by negative 4. There's your answer. If you multiply the top one by 2, you'd have gotten 8x minus 16y equals 0. Okay, let's add now. So on mine, if you did it my way, you'd get negative 72 equals negative 72y equals negative 72, so clearly y equals 1. And you would have gotten the same answer on yours, except you would be matching your y values, so you would have gotten an x answer. I matched the y values. Okay, you matched I matched the x values, you matched the y values. So for me, I'm going to go back to the first equation, substitute 1 in for y. Negative 8 times 1 is negative 8. Add 8 to both sides. So x is 2. Now you would have gotten, if you multiply the top one by 2, you'd have solved for x and gotten x equals 2, and that's what you would have substituted in. But then you would have gotten y equals 1 for your equation. Either way you do it, you get the same answer. X is 2 and y is 1. So where do the two lines intersect? At the point 2, 1. Cool? All right, let's do another one. Last one. All right, this time I took the number away, so I would have some space. All right, so go ahead and pause the video, get to the answer, and then come back for the answer. All right, hopefully you've been filling in the Google Forms. All right, that's the intent. to get a real feel for whether you're getting this or not getting this. If you wait until you see the answer and write it into the Google Forms, it doesn't help me nor you any bit as well. All right, so this is one where we can't multiply just one equation and get to the same answer. Okay, we're going to have to multiply both equations. We want one to be positive and one to be negative. Now, these are really big numbers. It doesn't matter which one you pick, x or y. I'm going to pick x. So the common multiple of 10 and 3 is 30. So I'm going to multiply the top equation by 3, and that'll give me a 30x. And the bottom one I want to be negative 30x, so I can add. So I'll multiply the bottom equation by negative 10. Now don't panic with the big numbers. All right, the top equation will be 30x minus 21y equals 78. And the second equation will be negative 30x plus 80y equals 40. Okay, makes sense? All right, let's add. The x is eliminated, the y's turn into 59y, and the constant is 118. Once again, it looks like ugly numbers, but it turns out that when you divide 118 by 59, you get 2. All right, I'm going to go back to the first equation, the 10x minus 7y equals 26. You may not have chosen that, but that's the one I chose. All right, I'm going to let y value be 2. And by the way, if you choose any one of the other three equations up there, you will get the same answer as I do. Okay, 10x minus 14 equals 26. Add 14 to both sides. That gives me a 40. Therefore, x equals 4. If we're going too fast, pause the video, rewind so that you can hear the explanation. All right, final answer 4, 2. I am not going to do either one of the word problems. I'll give them both to you as practice, even though I only want you to do the evens. For homework, there's 2 there for practice. Remember, for the word problems, you're going to set up 2 equations. You got to read it carefully, set up your 2 equations, and then whatever floats your boat. If you want to solve by graphing, substitution, or elimination, it's your choice. Okay, so that was all the material that we're going to review for Chapter 9. Your homework is the evens on the worksheet. The worksheet's located at the bottom of the Google Forms page. You can print it out or not. It's up to you. I will be calling out the answers tomorrow. And that about wraps it up. So if you have any specific questions, make sure you email me, Shayla. You do not have to do the homework in one class period. You have, or till 8:30. You got the whole time until the next class. Okay? So guys, have a great day. Stay safe. And I will see you guys tomorrow.